A gazette simply is a government publication, an official government publication. The government on its own, cannot go about officiating marriages. First of all, the church in which you are a pastor has to be a gazetted church or a gazetted place of worship. Let's say for 5 years or for 10 years, you think that you are married.
I am married because in the eyes of God, I am married.
Yeah, but in the eyes of the law, you are not.
Ghanaian law.
So you have to take steps to rectify that, right?
How do I do that?
You have to take steps to rectify. So you have to. Yeah, you didn't get married. You only got married before Allah. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, you only got married before Allah. So Allah recognizes you're married, but government of Ghana does not. They give money to somebody who says, I can do a gazette for you. And the person goes and brings them a fake gazette. So you think that your name has been published in the gazette or whatever I need a gazette for, it has been done. But it is not in the records, it is not there. And you are in possession of a forged government document. So in that instance, wherever you take the gazette, you'll be found out. And when you are found out, the police will come for you because you are in possession of a fake document. So
hello there, welcome to another insightful episode of The Cindy Show with your beautiful host, Cindy Official. Today we are going to take a deep dive into the world of Gazette, a powerful tool that influences how information is shared, documented and preserved in our society. From its pivotal role in government communication to how it impacts businesses, individuals and communities. Our guest, Lantan Papanko, will break down everything we need to understand. We'll explore why Gazette is more than just a publication. It acts as a bridge connecting policies, people, and progress. So whether you are familiar with it or not, this conversation is sure to open your eyes to its real significance and how it affects our everyday lives. Welcome to The Cindy Show.
Thank you very much, Cindy. Thank you for inviting me to your platform. It's a pleasure to be here.
It's good to have you here too.
Well, it's good to be here.
All right, so let's start very quick. For someone like me who doesn't know what a gazette is, tell us what a gazette is.
It's interesting that you don't know what a gazette is when you talk about the importance, or when you look at the importance of a document called the Gazette. It's essential for every Ghanaian citizen to actually know what a gazette is. And so we are taking it upon ourselves as a Ghana Publishing Company Limited to try and help all Ghanaians to understand exactly what the Gazette is, what it is used for, how one can acquire a Gazette, among other things. And it's in a public education campaign called Gazette 360. And it's all because of the significance of that document called the Gazette, right? And so once again, I'm very excited to have this opportunity to sit here to discuss these issues and further help Ghanaians out there and anybody who is watching the show, the Cindy Show, to understand all of these issues, right? So a gazette simply is a government publication, an official government publication, right? And this official government publication communicates certain things that the government of Ghana wants the people of Ghana to know. And those things are of legal effect. So it's an official journal of the government in which it publishes certain information. And once that information is published in the Gazette, that information becomes legal, or it takes legal effect. So that's simply what a Gazette is. The official mouthpiece of the government that it uses to communicate all kinds of things to the people of Ghana officially, right? So it's not like publishing something in a newspaper or organizing a press conference or, issuing out an official statement. It's not like that. The Gazette's document or publication has a certain legal effect or legal impetus. It's a legal document. So once the information is in the Gazette, that document is used in all kinds of legal things, in courts, in official things and all of that. Right? So it's very, very different from, like I was saying, from, let's say, the government announcing something in a press release or in a press conference or putting something in a newspaper or something of the sort. That's quite different. So I'll give you an example. You know that when we go to vote and the election results are out and the EC commissioner announces the election results, the results have to be published in the Gazette for it to take legal effect, for it to be recognized as the official results of the election. So let's say the 2024 election. So if there is any legal disputes, if there is anything with regard to looking at the figures as far as the elections are concerned, what the courts or anybody is going to be working with is the official gazetted results, election results. That is what we are going to be working with. That is what we consider as the true reflection of the will of the people of Ghana, right? I'll give you also another example. When the president assents to a bill, the bill has to be published in the Gazette before it becomes law. Usually we are told that before a bill is presented in Parliament, it has to go through all the processes, get to the president's desk eventually after it's gone through all the processes in Parliament, and then when the bill is assented to by the president, it becomes law. No. When the bill is assented to, the bill has to appear in the Gazette or be published in the Gazette. It is only after it is published in the Gazette, which is the official mouthpiece of the government, that the bill takes effect and actually becomes an act, right? So that also has to be published in the Gazette. And even before a bill goes to Parliament, right? If you look into Article 106 of the Constitution, which talks about the processes that a bill has to go through, or the laws of Ghana, and the processes that the laws have to go through before they actually take effect. Even before a bill goes to Parliament, that bill has to be published in the Gazette for a number of days, communicating to the people of Ghana. It's a requirement, communicating to the people of Ghana that, okay, there is a bill that is going to Parliament because we want to have this kind of law in place. So once it's published in the Gazette, then it goes through all the other processes that it needs to go through in Parliament, the first reading, second reading, the debates on the floor and all of that, before it is finally passed and then gets to the president's desk, and then the president assents to it, and then it is published in the Gazette again before it takes legal effect. So apart from acts of Parliament, right, constitutional instruments, legislative instruments, all of those things have to be published in the Gazette before they take legal effect. Another example is when President Akufo-Addo issued executive instruments for the COVID-19 period, where there were certain restrictions, there was a lockdown and all of that. Some executive instruments had to be issued by the president. If those executive instruments, after the president puts them out there, are not published in the Gazette, they do not take legal effect, right? So before the president would actually announce that there has to be a lockdown or this law has to be in place, these restrictions have been imposed and all of that, all of it has to be published in the Gazette. So when it's published in the Gazette, the government is officially communicating to the people of Ghana that this is in place, that is in place, this is in place, and it is of legal effect. Another example is even lotto numbers. It will surprise you that when there is a raffle draw of a lotto company and the results are announced, right? The lotto numbers also have to be gazetted, right? When there are mining licenses that are going to be issued, for example, those things have to also be gazetted before it takes legal effect. Now, where it comes down to our everyday lives, okay, one of the ways that it comes down to our everyday lives is, for example, when someone needs to change their name or make a correction on their name, right? Let's say when you were born, you were given the name Cindy, right? And somewhere along the line, you want to change the name from Cindy to, I don't know, what's your other favorite name?
Lantam.
A woman cannot be called Lantam. But let's say you want to be called Lantam, right? So you would have to make an official publication in the Gazette that I used to be called Cindy, now I am called Lantam. Before that Lantam can take legal effect. Otherwise, in the eyes of the government and the public and all your official documents, you are still recognized as Cindy. So there are issues there, especially with regard to people's certificates and all of that. So let's say when you were in primary school, you were using the name Cindy. You were in senior high school, you were using the name Cindy. And let's say you got to the university and then you decided that now you were going to use the name Lantam. Here is the case that you are the same person. Your SS certificates, JSS certificates has Cindy. Your university certificates, maybe your master's certificate has Lantam. If you're looking for a job, or you are applying for a visa, or you are doing something which would require you to present your certificates, how do we know that Cindy and Lantam are the same person? I mean, you could even land yourself in trouble for impersonation because we don't know that Cindy and Lantam are the same person. And so in an instance like that, you would need a gazette, and the gazette will give legal effect, because when you open the pages of the gazette, it would state that Lantam and Cindy, Lantam used to be known as Cindy. She lived here, she worked here, all of those things. And so now if you see Cindy and you see Lantam, they are the same person. Then it gives legal effect. So the same goes for correcting your date of birth. Let's say there was a mistake with your date of birth on your document somewhere. Let's say you were born on 30th June, they say, and you found out that you were born rather on 30th November. You have to effect that change. You need a gazette. Even the place that you were born, you need a gazette to be able to legally give effect to that. And it goes further to very interesting areas like even marriage. So if you got married and you wanted to take your husband's name, or you want to take your wife's name, you would have to get that name gazetted. Otherwise, you cannot automatically start calling yourself Mrs. This or Mrs. that. It's not when you get married, automatically you are called Mrs. This. No. You still go by your original name until you take the steps to gazette the new name, which is taken on your husband's name. Otherwise, you cannot take on the name. And when it comes to getting married, right? For marriage under the ordinance, there are three kinds of marriages that we usually work with here in this country. There is the marriage under the ordinance, there is the Islamic marriage or the Mohammedan marriage, and then there is the customary marriage, right? So for marriage under the ordinance and for the Islamic marriage, here is the thing with regard to gazette. The pastor who blesses your marriage has to be a gazetted pastor, right? If the pastor's name is not in the gazette and he blesses your marriage in the church, your marriage is of no legal effect, because the person who blessed your marriage and signed your marriage certificates for you is not gazetted. And so, if anything were to happen and you were to go to court or anything of the sort, where is proof that you are married? There is no proof that you are married because the person who blessed your marriage is not gazetted. The place where you get married, or the church within which you get married, also has to be a gazetted church, right? If that church is not gazetted as a place of worship, then the marriage is also of no legal effect. The same goes for imams. If an imam is going to bless your Islamic marriage, the imam has to be a gazetted imam. And if you are going to do the marriage in the mosque has to be a gazetted place of worship as well. Otherwise, the marriage is of no effect. So, there are quite a number of people out there who think they are married, but actually legally they are not, because pastor is not gazetted, place of worship is not gazetted, imam is not gazetted, or, mosque is not gazetted, and what have you. So that one is also, then there are so many other things that require gazetting, in this country. And so in a nutshell, just trying to explain the importance or the gravity of that Gazette document for you to understand, what it really is. So in a nutshell, that is gazetting and what gazetting is. Of course, there's a whole lot more. I'm pretty sure as we go along, some of those issues will come up.
I want to ask if affidavit is the same as the gazette, because in so many cases, when someone wants to change his or her name, they say they are going to swear an affidavit. So is it the same, or it is in the process of gazetting that the affidavit comes in?
Right, so the affidavit is very different from the gazette. The affidavit is actually a requirement for you to get a gazette.
Okay.
Right, so the affidavit is actually what we call a statutory declaration. Right, so before you get a gazette, or before you gazette a name change, the first step is for you to get a statutory declaration, or what you call the affidavit, right? The statutory declaration will tell us what you intend to gazette. So let's say your name is Cindy Abubakar, and now you want to change your name to Cindy Lantam. So you go and do a statutory declaration that I used to be called Cindy Abubakar. Now I want to be known as Cindy Lantam. And so if you see Cindy Abubakar and Cindy Lantam, they are one and the same person. And then you do that statutory declaration, it is signed. You do it with a commissioner of oath. There are a lot of commissioners of oath, certified commissioners of oath around. So when you do that affidavit, it is not enough for you to just do the affidavit. It is just a statutory declaration. It's still of no legal effect until it finds space in the Gazette. So then you bring the statutory declaration to the Ghana Publishing Company Limited, and then we, based on the information that you've put in the affidavit, do the Gazette for you. Then the name change can take the legal effect. And it's the same for every other thing that needs to be gazetted, with your date of birth, with your place of birth, with taking on your husband's name, all of that. You need the affidavit or the statutory declaration first before you can do the gazette for you. Even with chiefs, for example, chiefs need to be gazetted. So if you were chief of any town or any jurisdiction, or you were family head of any jurisdiction, you also need to be gazetted so that you are legally recognized, right? Usually what will happen with chiefs is that they get an extract from the National House of Chiefs, which indicates that they are the chief of this area or that area, or they are family head of this family or that family. It is not enough for you to have that extract from the House of Chiefs. Together with the extract and then a statutory declaration that you are the chief or family head of this family, then you bring it to the Ghana Publishing Company Limited, and then you get gazetted. Then it takes legal effect. So that's how it works. So the statutory declaration or the affidavit and the gazette are not the same thing. It's the affidavit is a requirement for gazetting.
All right. Yes. You mentioned that pastors, imams, churches, and mosques have to be gazetted.
Yes.
If not, the marriage, the tie, or whatever would not be considered under law. How can an imam or a pastor gazette himself? Or how can you gazette a mosque or a church?
Right. So let's take it from, first of all, from the angle of, the churches, because a lot of people do marriages in churches. So the state is giving power to churches to bless marriages, right? And the way that the state gives power to churches and pastors, because issues of marriage are matters of law, right? And the government is very, very interested in these issues, in who is joining to whom in whichever union. So the government on its own, cannot go about officiating marriages. So the government is giving, and, marriage is also, in as much as it's something that government is very interested in, it's also a cultural thing, right? That's why we have, under the ordinance, we have, the customary marriage, we have the Islamic marriage, so it's a religious, it's a cultural thing, right? So the way that the state gives power to churches or mosques, for example, is to require them to be gazetted, right? So if you are a pastor and you want to be able to bless marriages, you need to go through, the processes, right? So first of all, the church in which you are a pastor has to be a gazetted church or a gazetted place of worship. That's what we call it. Now, for a church to be gazetted, you have to, first of all, write to the local assembly in which your church is situated. If you're, let's say, AMA or Kolote Municipal Assembly, so the municipal assembly, the metropolitan assembly or the district assembly where your church is, you write to them that I am from Global Revival Church and I want Global Revival Church to be a gazetted place of worship. So when you go to the assembly or write to the assembly will now come and do an inspection of the church premises to see whether or not it's suitable to be gazetted. So we're checking parking space, we're checking the cleanliness of the auditorium and the surroundings of the auditorium. We're checking to see if you have adequate washrooms. They're checking all kinds of things just to make sure that it is good enough to accommodate people or for people to be comfortable to worship there. So once they have satisfied themselves that you have passed that test, then they will now write to us, or they will now come to us at the Ghana Publishing Company Limited, or they will give you an authorization letter to take to the Ghana Publishing Company Limited that you've gone through all the processes and now you can be gazetted as a church. So based on that information, then we do a gazette for you. We publish the name of your church in a gazette, and then it becomes a gazetted place of worship. Then marriage ceremonies can be held there. Now, if Global Revival Church has been a gazetted church or is a gazetted church now they, let's say, I'm a pastor there and they want to gazette Pastor Lantam. So they will now also have to write, right? So first of all, they have to go to the Registrar General's department and indicate that, okay, we have these number of pastors in our church that we want to be able to bless marriages, right? So we need them to be gazetted. Then it goes to the Attorney General's department. The Attorney General's department needs to satisfy himself or needs to satisfy themselves that, okay, these pastors are, proper, they can do it and all of that. Then they refer them back to the Registrar General's department, and then the Registrar General's department will do some sort of training for these pastors who need to be gazetted. The training is because it's a legal thing as well, because you are performing a function that the government, has given you authorization to do, right? And it's not just a religious thing. So you have to go through a certain training. So once you've completed the training, then the Registrar General's department, together with the Attorney General's department, can now say that, okay, you've passed, and then they will send a list of names to us, or they can give you, the pastor, a letter to bring to us at the Ghana Publishing Company Limited that you have fulfilled all the requirements for being a pastor, for being a gazetted pastor. And so we should go ahead and publish your name in the Gazette. And then we do the Gazette for you, and then you become a gazetted pastor. The process is the same for imams. You go through the same process, right? From Registrar General to Attorney General. They also give you training. You are published in the Gazette as a gazetted imam. The same, for the mosque as well. So that is the process that churches have to go through. So when you get married in a church that is gazetted, marriage ceremony performed by a pastor that is gazetted, and you sign the marriage certificate, that marriage certificate is legal because everything is gazetted. But if they are not gazetted and then you you go ahead and you let some pastor or some imam who has not been gazetted bless your marriage and you think that you are married, you could be landing yourself in serious trouble, because we've had instances where there are embassies, calling us because, let's say, someone says they are married here and then they travel outside the country and then they want to come and bring their spouse, maybe their husband or their wife, to join them there, and they say they are married. They are going through documentation. We get calls from the US embassy, from the UK embassy, from the French embassy, Italian embassy, that these people say they are married. So they married in this church. So let's check the records and see if indeed this church is gazetted, or the pastor who blessed their marriage is gazetted. We go into the records and we find out that there is nothing like that. They say they got married in this church, but the church is not gazetted. It said this is the pastor who blessed it. The name is on the marriage certificates, but in the records it's not there. So then they find themselves wanting. In the eyes of their law, you are lying. You said you are married, but you are actually legally not married in the country. So it becomes a problem for you. So there are a lot of marriages which are even falling apart as a result of that. In the events of, unfortunate events of, a spouse dying or, something of the sort, and there has to be some court issues, maybe with regard to distribution of property and all of that. How do you prove that you were legally married to this person and you were just not cohabiting? Because you said you are married under the ordinance. You go into church and they blessed it. But here's the case, there is no gazetting to prove that. You find yourself in serious trouble, right? So it tells you the importance of the gazetting. Even sometimes there are people who do not want to, say, get married in a church or get married in a mosque. They want to go and get married in a garden. They want to go and get married on the beach. They want to go and get married at an event center, right? That beach, that event center, that garden is not a gazetted place of worship. So there are two ways you can go about that. It's either you, first of all, just you, a gazetted pastor in a gazetted church, go and bless the marriage with nobody there, just you and the couple and maybe a few witnesses. And then later on, come and perform the marriage ceremony in that garden. Then you are free. But if you want to perform the exchange of vows and the blessing and the signing of the certificates and everything at that garden or that event center or anything like that, that place has to be registered. So the second way around it is that you have to get a special license which lasts for 24 hours from the assembly, municipal, metropolitan, or district assembly where that event center or garden or beach is located. So you go to them and say, I want to get married. So they can give you a special license which lasts for 24 hours. Only 24 hours. And then you have to perform the marriage ceremony there within that 24 hours. Otherwise, if it elapses, you cannot do it there again. And then there has to be a Gazette pastor who is blessing it. So that's how, that also works. I mean, if you marry, if you do a customary marriage, that's an entirely, different, subject matter. There is a way that customary marriages are also, taken through. There are processes that customary marriage is done in the legal way. So that is entirely different from marriage under the ordinance or the Islamic marriage. And that one doesn't necessarily require gazetting, but then there is a process that you have to go through, right?
The whole process of initiating pastors, imams into the Gazette is a whole cumbersome thing, I must say. So if I may ask, do you have a lot of churches, pastors, imams, and mosques gazetted in your records?
Yes, we do. We do have a lot of churches. The churches know, because churches bless marriages a lot. Every Saturday you go to any church, there's a wedding day. So the churches know that their place has to be gazetted, that their pastors have to be gazetted. They know. So big churches, Church of Pentecost, the Baptist Church, ICGC, Lighthouse Chapel, Methodist, Presby, they frequently bring the names of their pastors for pastors to be gazetted, or even if they open new branches of new churches, they bring, these new churches for it to be gazetted because they know the law, right? And they know that they have to, otherwise they put marriage couples in jeopardy, and also, they can also find themselves wanting on the wrong side of the law. It may seem like it's a cumbersome process, but it's really not. It's pretty simple.
A cumbersome process.
No, it's not. It's
because
pretty simple.
You have to present the pastors. So let's talk from the perspective of me as a Muslim from a Zungo community.
Yes.
My marriage doesn't necessarily have to be in the mosque. Mm-hmm. It can happen in my father's living room. Mm-hmm. How are we going to do this?
If it's happening in your father's living room, what kind of marriage are you doing?
It's an Islamic marriage.
If it is an Islamic marriage, in the strict sense of the word, as in an Islamic marriage, and there is an imam who is going to bless the marriage, then that imam has to be a gazetted imam. If the imam is not a gazetted imam and the imam is performing a marriage ceremony, then it is a problem, unless it is customary marriage.
What about the place? So it has to be a gazetted place.
Yes, that's why I mentioned that. That's why I mentioned. Yes, so that's why I mentioned that you go to the assembly and then you get a special license from the assembly that I'm going to perform a marriage ceremony at this place. So, and that license lasts for 24 hours. 24 hours. Right, you get it. Yeah. Yes.
So what about a marriage which has already been done? Let's assume I'm already married.
Yes.
Right. And the imam who officiated my marriage is not a gazetted imam.
And you did an Islamic marriage?
Yes. So how can I have my marriage legally under the Ghanaian law?
So it means you have to take steps to rectify. Let's say you've already performed the ceremony, you've done it, and let's say for 5 years or for 10 years, you think that you are married.
I am married because in the eyes of God, I am married.
Yeah, but in the eyes of the law, you are not.
Ghanaian law, I'm not married.
So you have to take steps to rectify that. Right?
How do I do that?
You have to take steps to rectify. So you have to go through the whole process all over again. Right? But it doesn't necessarily mean that you now have to call all the people that you called, to get married and for them to come for you to do the whole marriage ceremony again. You have to get an imam who is gazetted, right? And perhaps maybe you and your husband go to a mosque that is gazetted, or if you get the special license and officially rectify that, in your own small way, just to make sure that it is legally recognized. And then you are good to go. If you don't take steps to rectify it, under the face of the law, it is cohabitation. Just doing cohabitation. You're not
and then if
married.
we are going to rectify it, are we going to use the same day, like backdated day?
No, you don't use a backdated day. You use the day that it was
got
done.
Married on 1st
Because
January.
you didn't get married. You only got married before Allah. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, you only
So
got married before Allah. So Allah recognizes your marriage, but government of Ghana does not.
Earlier in your submission, you mentioned that someone's husband or wife might be maybe outside the country, abroad, and then with time, the person wants to come and take the spouse to where the person is, and they have to make this whole process.
Yes.
And then we've been married for, let's say, 3 years.
Yes.
And then he filed for me. Mm-hmm. Now he wants to take me, and then you are telling me I cannot backdate it to when we got married.
No, you can't.
So it has to be stated, if it is today, it has to be stated that we got married today.
Yes. You can't backdate it. If you backdate it, that could amount to...
Some people do have marriage certificates.
Yeah, but that could amount to fraud.
My sister has a marriage certificate. I have to ask her if it is gazetted.
Well, you have to ask where the marriage certificate came from.
It came from the Kumasi Central Mosque.
From the Kumasi Central Mosque. Yes. I'm sure the Kumasi Central Mosque is a gazetted church. Yes.
Imams and then...
Exactly. So then I'm not sure there's a problem.
But this is very serious.
Yes, it is.
The whole thing, I think, is very tedious. That is how I see it, because how can people be married and then they don't even know that they are not even married?
That is why at the Ghana Publishing Company Limited, we've decided to do Gazette 360, because people need to begin to get to know these things. And it's also the responsibility of churches and pastors to make sure that they are not putting their members in danger. Every responsible church in this country knows that before any marriage ceremony is blessed, it has to happen in a gazetted place of worship with a gazetted pastor. Every church knows that. So before you set up a church and you want to bless marriages, if you are not gazetted, you should not be doing that. So if you want to get married and you want to get married under the ordinance, right? Or you want to do an Islamic marriage, ask the imam who will bless your marriage, are you a gazetted imam? Where is the marriage certificate coming from? Is it coming from a gazetted place of worship? Is it coming from a gazetted church? You need to know these things, and you don't just let, because somebody may have a spiritual father. Oh, this is my spiritual father. This prophet Lantam has been praying for me and prophesying to me. He even prophesied that I'll get married to this person. And so I want Prophet Lantam to be the one to bless the marriage. Is Prophet Lantam gazetted? Prophet Lantam is not gazetted. He cannot bless your marriage. The only thing he can do is be there during the wedding ceremony and be one of the pastors to pray for you. But he cannot be the officiating minister. If you want him to be the officiating minister, he has to be gazetted in a gazetted church. That's what the law says. That's how it works.
But then I think you've not created awareness so much in the past.
Well, that is why we are doing it now.
Because it is something which is very, very essential for every Ghanaian to know about it. So right now, as I sit, how can I access a gazette? Because I think after this interview, I have to sit down and get to know the gazette very well, because it's very important.
Yes. So, I mean, it depends on whether or not you need a gazette. Recently, with those who are registering for their national service, right, we did a collaboration with the National Service Authority to help them with gazetting services, for example, because with some of them, the names on their certificates and the names on their Ghana card is different.
There are discrepancies.
Sometimes even the arrangement of your name can be an issue, right? If my surname is Papanko and my first name is Lantam, and in the arrangements, they rather make the surname Lantam and the first name Papanko, it's an issue. I cannot say that I am the same person, because So all of those issues came up. And if that needs to be rectified, you need a gazette to be able to do that, right? So when it comes to name changes or correction of dates of birth, correction of place of birth, all of those things, if you require that to be done, that is when you need to get a gazette. So the step to doing that is, first of all, to get the statutory declaration, which is the affidavit. And then once it is done, then you bring the affidavit or the statutory declaration to the Ghana Publishing Company Limited. And once you walk into our premises with your statutory declaration, it's a very simple process. It's not cumbersome at all. Within 10 minutes, you make your payment, you go through the process, and it's done for you. Then you'll be told when to come for your gazette. We have 3 types of gazettes. When I say 3 types of gazette, I don't mean the document. I'm talking about how long it will take you to get the gazettes, right? There are 3 tiers. There is the regular, there is the premium, and there is the premium plus. All of them come at different price points. So with a regular gazette, it will take you just about 3 weeks for you to get the gazette. So you come with the statutory declaration, you make your payments, you go through the process. Within 10 minutes, you're out. In not more than 3 weeks, you are given a call that your gazette is ready. You come and pick it up. If you need it fast, let's say you went to the passport office, you are applying for a visa and something needs to be done in relation to your name with the gazette. And let's say you have just about 3 days. You can pay for premium gazette, which will take you 3 days. So that once you go through the process, within 3 days, you come for your gazette. Or if you need it tomorrow, there is also premium plus, which is also at a different price point, which you pay today, and then you come for the gazette tomorrow. So that is how it works. So we have premium plus, we have premium, and then we have the regular gazettes. And it's not a difficult process to go through at all. And another thing that we have realized also, which we need to bring to the attention of the public, is that there are a lot of people out there who have fake gazettes. And if you are in possession of a fake gazette, it's a very serious offense that can land you in jail. Because being in possession of a fake gazette is being in possession of a forged government document. So you can imagine the gravity of the situation. It's the official mouthpiece of the government. So the fake gazette is an attack on the official mouthpiece of the government, an attack on the government itself. So if you are holding a fake gazette, it's a very serious offense. And there are quite a number of people out there who have all kinds of fake gazettes. We have had to arrest a lot of people. I mean, we've arrested, in the last month alone, we've arrested about 7 people for being in possession of fake gazettes. And what happens is that people don't necessarily know the process of getting a gazette, or even know that they have to get a gazette until a situation arises. Maybe there's an issue with their certificates or their age or something like that. And then I need to rectify it. And then they do the statutory declaration. And then they now realize that, okay, it has to be gazetted before it takes legal effect. That is when they find out that there's something called a gazette. So usually what happens is somebody tells them that, oh, I can do the gazette for you. So then they think that coming to the Ghana Publishing Company Limited to do a gazette is some long, winding, cumbersome process. So they feel maybe it's like if you want to get a passport or get a new birth certificate or something, you have to go and grease somebody's palm or do something like. It is not like that at all. But because of the apprehension,
TikTok.
Yeah, because of the apprehension that people have, that, or the orientation, because a lot of our institutions you have to go through unnecessary bureaucracies. People also feel like getting a gazette is like that. And so they give money to somebody who says, I can do a gazette for you. And the person goes and brings them a fake gazette. So you think that your name has been published in the gazette, or whatever you need a gazette for, it has been done. But it is not in the records. It is not there. And you are in possession of a forged government document. So in that instance, wherever you take the gazette, you'll be found out. And when you are found out, the police will come for you because you are in possession of a fake document. So we don't want people to fall prey or continue to fall prey to these things. That is why we also, all over the place, doing this public education to get people to understand these things. There was someone who came that came to Ghana Publishing Company Limited that there is a mistake with their name in the Gazette they did. We looked at the Gazette, we went into our system, we did the verification and realized that it is not in the system, it's a fake Gazette. So there and then we had to call the police, for the police to come, for that individual to assist the police in investigations to fish out the person who did the Gazette for him, for us to catch that person, because that person is in the business of doing fake Gazettes. Now, if you are not able to help us, the police do that, you are the one who is in possession of the fake Gazette, so you are the one who is going to be held liable, right? And we do not want you to be there, to be the one to be held liable, right? And also, because we have realized that it's a problem, we have enhanced the Gazette, right? So that we make it a bit more difficult for it to be forged by people. So we've introduced some new security features in the Ghana Gazette so that it is difficult for people to forge it. So for example, I've got a copy of the Gazette here. And if you take a look at the Gazette, you'd see that the coat of arms, which says Ghana Gazette, is in a special gold color. It all used to be black and white. When you open it, everything used to be black and white. But now with the introduction of this new gold color, it is not just for aesthetic purposes. It is a security feature because this blend of gold is only unique to the Ghana Gazette and you cannot get it anywhere else. You can try to replicate it, but it will not be exactly like this because only we know the formula to get this particular gold seal, right? And so if we use our technology and, we are working with the NIA and other agents, if they use their technology to look at it and do the verification, you'd immediately realize that it's fixed. So you cannot easily replicate this. Also, when you take a look at the inside of the Gazette, you notice that there is a certain unique watermark in the middle. It is not just a simply printed watermark that people put on their, letterheads and all of that. It's also another extra security feature in the Gazette, which authenticates the Gazette that you are holding. So it will make it very difficult for people out there who would hitherto purchase a copy of the Gazette, take out some of the pages, print their own names and dates of birth and whatever, and then put it in and give it to people as Gazette. It will make it difficult for them to be able to do that. So if you're looking at Gazette, this is what the new and improved Gazette of Ghana looks like, right? And all the information, is in there. So, for example, I'm holding Gazette number 216 from Wednesday, 6th August 2025. If you look at the table of contents, so I was telling you earlier what a Gazette is, right? So you see the National Lucky Tuesday Lotto draw results, Dewa Lotto draw results bulletin, National Midweek Lotto, all of it is in the Gazette, right? There is also license for celebration of marriages, public place of worship is in the appointment of marriage officers is in the change of names, corrections of dates of birth, correction of places of birth. If there is a new act. So all of that is in the Gazette. So depending on which edition of the Gazette it is or which day it is, when you pick it up, you'd see all of that.
Every day?
Yes, every single day. Every single day there is a Gazette that is published. So I was talking about change of names, for example. So I'll give you an example of somebody who changed their name here. But I'm not going to put the actual name out there. I'm just going to use pseudonyms, but just to give you a sense of how it appears in the Gazette. So I'll use my own name. So it says maybe Mr. Lantam Papanko Kwame, a.k.a. Kwame Lantam, a carpenter of Kuntunsi Company Limited and of house number 224 in the Greater Accra region, wishes now to be known as Mr. Cindy Lantam Papanko with effect from 29 July 2025. All documents bearing his former names are still valid. So when this appears in the Gazette, then that name that you want to be known by
everybody.
The Gazette is accessible to everybody. Everybody who requires the use of the Gazette, it is accessible to them. Everybody, once you require the Gazette, is accessible. You come to our premises at the Ghana Publishing Company Limited, and then you get a copy. And I also have to emphasize that the only place you can get a Gazette is at the Ghana Publishing Company Limited. You cannot get it anywhere else We have offices in Accra and in Kumasi. In Kumasi, if you know where the Prempeh Assembly Hall is right opposite the Prempeh Assembly Hall in the SIC Life or the SIC building. SIC building, that's where the Ghana Publishing Company Limited is. In Accra, we are just around the Tudu area opposite the Accra City Hotel or the Old Novotel, or just around where the Accra Technical University is. Apart from our offices in Accra and Kumasi, you cannot get it anywhere else. If you are outside of Accra or Kumasi, then we have a special arrangement with Ghana Post, with the Ghana Post Office, where you can go, give them your documents, tell them you want to do a gazette. They will now bring your documents to us. We do the gazette and we send it via post back to you. So if it's not the Ghana Post, it's not our Accra office, it's not our Kumasi office, and anybody out there tells you that they will do a gazette for you, they are lying to you. And they are putting you at a real risk of getting a fake gazette. And once you are in possession of a fake gazette, you are in possession of a forged government document, which is a very dangerous thing you do not want to engage in. So I have to also put
So that means you don't have any agents.
We don't have any agents. We don't work with any agents.
We work with only the
We don't work
Ghana
with
Post.
Goro boys. We don't work with agents. We don't work, no. Walk to the Ghana Publishing Company Limited or go to the post office. It's as simple as that. So if anybody's saying, oh, Gazette, oh, me to me a Gazette, I'm out, that it's not true.
Wow. So then why do you think people forge it?
Well, people forge it for personal gain.
If it is so easy to access it.
Yes.
Just as you are saying, if I walk into your office, if I prefer the regular, the premium, or the premium plus, whichever I can afford, I can get it. Even if it's the regular, in like 3 weeks, I could get it.
Yeah, you get it.
So if it is that easy, why do people give money to other people to get it for them?
Because they think that it's a difficult process. Previously, it used to take you about a month, sometimes 2 months, or even more, for you to get your hands on a gazette, right? And if you were to do a premium gazette, it used to take you about 1 week for you to do a gazette. That was previously. But when the new managing director, Nana Kwesi Boete Esquire, came in, he realized that we could do better. And so what he decided to do was plug into the 24-hour economy policy of this administration, since he was appointed by the president. In fact, the Ghana Publishing Company Limited is where the 24-hour economy of the NDC government started from, actually. The very first state-owned enterprise to start doing 24-hour economy, right? So we decided that we can run 24 hours, right? We can produce gazettes and printing of other things, because, we don't only do gazettes, and we also do printing of other things. Banners, posters, stickers, complimentary cards, textbooks, exercise books, you name it. The Ghana Publishing Company Limited does all of these things. So because we started up operating 24 hours, we've been able to halve the time with which you used to get a gazette. So if you were to do the regular gazettes, instead of the 1 month, 2 months, now it takes you just 3 weeks. Sometimes it's even before the 3 weeks, because the way the gazettes are done, because we are working round the clock, right? So sometimes even before the 3 weeks are up, you are called that you should come for your gazette, because we are working day and night. That's why we're able to reduce the premium to 3 days. And that's why we're able to introduce a 24-hour service, which enables you to do a gazette just within 24 hours if you need it so urgently, right? So these are some of the things that we are doing to improve gazetting services in the country and to make sure that it is accessible. And that is why we like platforms like this, which gives us the opportunity to tell everybody who is watching that, look, getting a gazette is not a long and cumbersome process. If you think that it is a very long process, please, it is not. I'm
very sure so many people think that it's a long process, because I went through your TikTok page. I read some comments, and then I saw so many comments regarding, someone was even saying you should work on it because it takes so long to get it.
It does. It actually doesn't.
Yeah,
it actually doesn't.
So many comments like that.
It actually doesn't. You can ask anybody who has come to Ghana Publishing to do a gazette in 2025, especially since 3rd March 2025, and ask them whether it's a very cumbersome process. It is not. It is not at all. It is very simple. Walk in with your affidavit or walk in with your statutory declaration. Say, I want to do a gazette. We'll ask you, how soon do you need it? Do you want to do regular gazettes? Do you want to do premium gazettes, or you want to do premium plus? Let's say, well, I want to do regular gazette. And we'll tell, okay, regular gazettes, it will come in 3 weeks. Are you okay? Oh, I'm okay, you pay. It will not be more than 3 weeks. Your details have already been taken. Your phone number has already been taken. You'll be called to come for your gazette. Very simple. If you pay for premium 3 days, you'll be called to come for your gazette. If it's 24 hours, you bring it today, tomorrow at the same time, come and pick it. It's that simple.
You mentioned that it is the official mouthpiece of the government.
Yes.
That means it is essential for every Ghanaian to know about what is being published in the Gazette. And then you can only get it at the Ghana Publishing Company.
Yes.
Don't you think it should be accessible, maybe a bookshop, for you to get it?
No, it's because of the way the Gazette works and because of its legal nature. Because of its legal nature, the Constitution provides for gazetting, right? When you look in our laws, it states that the Gazettes of Ghana shall be published by the state publisher or the state printer. And the state publisher is the Ghana Publishing Company Limited. And because of the nature of the information in there and what the Gazette is used for and all of that, we cannot just, distribute it and put it in any bookshop or anything of the sort. You have to come to the source because of the constitutional provisions, that govern gazetting. So it has to be like that because it's not just a simple document like a newspaper where, it's for commercial purposes that you buy and then read the news and all of that. That is why if you want the Gazette, you have to come to the official source because of the nature of it. Because it's also, sort of, in as much as it's a public document and the official mouthpiece of the government, there are also some security issues attached to it. So it cannot be made available just anywhere apart from the official outlets. So that is why.
So are there penalties for ignoring the Gazette?
Penalties for ignoring the Gazette?
Yeah.
There are no penalties per se for ignoring the Gazette. I mean, if you're an ordinary citizen and you are there and you don't know what is in the Gazette, there's no penalty for it. It's not by force for you to know, about. It's not by force for you to know, unless probably you need something which will require Gazette, like your name change or correcting your date of birth, or there are some lotto numbers that you want to check to see if it's gazetted, or there is a new act or a new legislative instrument that you want to check and see. Then you can come to the Ghana Publishing Company Limited and get a copy of the Gazette, and take a look at it. But if other than that you don't want to know, nobody can come and catch you that you don't know what the Gazette is. Yes, exactly.
And in accessing the Gazette, let's say I am in Takoradi right now, and I want to know what exactly it is in the Gazette as of maybe today. And I can only visit the Kumasi office or the Accra office for the Gazette. And then we are in the world of technology. We are advancing. Don't you think you should have it on a digital platform for people to access it?
Yes, you are right. And that is something which is currently in the works. And I can assure you that very soon we will have a digital Gazette. We have a digital platform which will make it the Gazettes a lot more accessible to a lot more people, perhaps from the comfort of your home. And even with institutions like the National Identification Authority, the Passport Office, embassies around, and other institutions which work with the Ghana Publishing Company Limited. So it's something which is in the works. Very soon it's going to be properly launched. And of course, we are in a digital era. We cannot run away from that. And that's something that the Ghana Publishing Company Limited recognizes. And it's not something we take lightly at all. And so I can assure you that that is definitely in the works. And very soon, you will see us play a lot in the digital space. Yes.
Very good. So is there something that I have missed? Something you would like to say?
Well, I don't know if there's anything that you've missed. I think one thing that I neglected to say also is that with regard to metropolitan assemblies, district assemblies, and municipal assemblies, they have something called the local government bulletin, right? The local government bulletin contains their fees and charges, their bylaws, and what have you. So that also has to be published in the Gazette before it can take legal effect. So let's say charge of market tolls. So let's say if the AMA is charging market tolls at Tudu or, Makola or wherever, they have to publish all of that. If they are increasing it from 1 cedi to 2 cedis, all of those things have to be done and be published in the Gazette before they can start charging it. It's called the LGB, the Local Government Bulletin. If there are bylaws that they want to implement, let's say people are hawking on the streets, so they want to make it a bylaw that if you hawk on the street, this is what is going to happen to you and all of that. All of that has to come to the Ghana Publishing Company Limited. We publish it in the Gazette before the assemblies, the MMDAs, can actually start implementing or enforcing those things. So I didn't say that.
Everyday lives.
It is actually. That is why it's important for everybody in Ghana to know about the Gazette and what the Gazette is, because it bothers on our everyday lives, just like you said.
I think I just thought of one thing that I saw under the comment section. The person mentioned about he needed a Gazette. Is it for land something? I forgot it. It was about a land. Does the Gazette has a relation with?
Well, if there are issues with regard to land, the person would need to go to the Lands Commission. I mean, with issues with regard to land, we don't really deal with those issues. The Lands Commission has the jurisdiction over those issues. If you want to purchase a land, you do your searches, at the court to see if there is litigation and all of that. With regard to land, where the Ghana Publishing Company Limited comes in has got to do with, mining, small-scale mining, right? If licenses for mining are going to be issued in the mining, those ones need to be published in the Gazette, right?
Is it only small-scale mining?
I mean, mining in general, if licenses are going to be issued, yes, that needs to find space in the Gazette. So we deal with that. But with the other land issues, the best place to go would be the Lands Commission for them to deal with those ones.
I think we are almost done. I think I have just one question. Why should every Ghanaian see Gazette as a vital tool?
It's because of what I said earlier, that the Gazette is the official mouthpiece of the government. If the government wants to communicate anything to Ghanaians that takes legal effect, they do it through the Gazette. From name changes, correction of date of birth and place of birth, to election results, to lotto results, to chiefs and queen mothers and family heads, to executive instruments, acts of parliament, legislative instruments, name changes, marriage officers, you just name it. All of these things find space in the Gazette, and the Gazette announces all of these things to take legal effect. That is why every single Ghanaian should be concerned about it. If there is a new law, recently, one of the laws that have been very controversial is the LGBTQ law, for example. It's a bill. It got to President Akufo-Addo, he didn't put his signature, to it. So if he has to go through all the processes again, and then let's say it gets to President Mahama and he decides that he's going to put his signature on it, it has to come to the Ghana Publishing Company Limited for us to gazette it. So if you're a citizen and you got a copy of the Gazette and you saw that now the Human Rights and Family Values Bill is now an act and is in the Gazette, then you know that, okay, there is a new law which is now taking effect. I mean, as a citizen, you have to know the laws of this country. So, I mean, that is something, right? If I've changed my name and it has to take legal effect, I have to know. If I'm married, I have to know that I am properly married. Even if I'm divorced, right? After going through a divorce, you have to eventually find the way to get it into the Gazette for everyone. So with our day-to-day lives, the Gazette is an important document that we cannot ignore. And I encourage every Ghanaian to know the Gazette, to use the Gazette, and to trust the Gazette. That's a tagline for Gazette 360. Know it, use it, trust it.
Okay.
Yes.
I think I just remembered one question too. Let's assume I get married right now. I'm very sure if I get married, I'll add my husband's name to my name. I like it. It's just nice to me. The messes. Do I have to change all my documents?
You don't have to change all your documents. You don't have to.
What do I have to change?
You just need to publish in the gazettes that if you used to be called Cindy Abubakar.
In my case,
Yes.
I would not reject my father's name. I would just adopt his and add it to it.
Yeah, so if you want to add it, so let's say, I mean, your father's name, what's
Halimatu Sadia Abdullah.
Okay, so Cindy Halimatu Sadia Abdullah, and let's say you've married Papanko, you want to add Papanko to it. So all your documents bear Cindy Halimatu Abdullah. All your documents bear that.
Yeah.
So the Gazette will just say, because of your statutory declaration, that Cindy Halimatu Abdullah is now Cindy Halimatu Abdullah Papanko. And so all documents bearing Cindy Halimatu Abdullah are the same person as Cindy Halimatu Abdullah Papanko. And then you are good to go. You don't need to change the names on all the documents. So that is what the Gazette is there for. So anywhere you need to present your documents, once you have the Gazette and they check in the Gazette and it is there, they're able to verify. And so you don't have a problem.
So I have my passport, my school certificate, everything as Halimatu Sadia Abdullah. So if I'm going to present it somewhere, I have to add the Gazette to it.
Yeah, you can add the Gazette to it, yes. You can add the Gazette to it. Okay. And then you don't have a problem.
I think we've come to the end of our discussion.
Yes.
As I mentioned earlier, that he will break down everything we need to understand. And that is what he has done exactly. So right now, we know what a Gazette is, how important it is to the government, businesses, and individuals, and of course, the society. Do well to subscribe to our YouTube channel, The Cindy Show, and follow us on all our social media platforms. My beautiful makeup was done by Mira Glam. She's located in Medina. Her telephone number would be on the screens. Thank you for making time to watch us. See you next week. Bye. Say bye to them.